How's it going, team? Now, another slightly more philosophical and less physiological video today. In a recent interview with female health coach Georgie Harris, we had a brief discussion about why some people might specifically opt for coaches, in this context fitness coaches, of a specific gender. I said during that discussion that I would be happy to have a female coach, which is true, but by no means at all would that be my number one choice, which I also still stand by, and today I want to explain why. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Galvin, and on this channel we cover all things training, nutrition, biohacking, and ancestral living to help you guys work out what you need to do based on your own individual biology to help improve your performance, your health, and your physique. And today I want to share my reasoning behind why I would absolutely select a male coach first and foremost. But to do that, first I have to share with you a perception and, probably a judgment I had a few years back. I don't know why I used to feel so flippin' viscerally angry about certain aspects of gender segregation, but I did. I used to believe that women's only groups in form of gyms, business networking groups, any group that was open to only women was wrong. When I used to hear women claim they wanted to empower other women to be strong, powerful and independent, but they used to do this in environments that were open to only women, I just thought this was pretty flipping stupid. Surely if we want to empower women to be stronger, braver, more independent versions of themselves, we should empower them to be able to work, train and do business with men as well. I think I used to lean this way in my thinking a little bit because, especially from kind of the exercise standpoint, I believed I had this narrative that women that would want to work out and train in a women's only gym used to want that because they were scared and intimidated of training around men as well. And still now, I think there's a bit of a kernel of truth in there. And if somebody is in this situation, then I absolutely 100% encourage them to either just bypass that and just face their fears head on and train in a normal high street gym, or at the very least use a women's only gym just as a short temporary stepping stone for no more than a month. I think allowing that boundary to remain and actually perpetuate separation and continue that segregation, I don't think that's a particularly healthy way of doing things. But there's probably another reason why it used to piss me off so much as well, because I didn't really feel part of anything. I had no group or tribe to lay claim to. I couldn't allocate a part of my identity and my self-worth and value to being part of a particular group. Now I'm gonna say something that's definitely gonna ruffle a few feathers, but that just seems to have become part of my MO this year. I am a straight white man, as I have said before, and part of me actually felt strangely jealous that I didn't have a group that I felt part of. You say you want to empower women, people of color, or the LGBT community, and you're a hero, right? You're like a virtuous social martyr. You say you want to empower straight people, white people, or penis-carrying people, and you're a fucking Nazi. Now, I've never lived on the street, I've never had to endure prejudice because of my skin color, I've never had to be ostracized from friends or family members because of my sexuality, and I feel unbelievable amounts of empathy for anyone who has ever had to be in that situation and endure that kind of hardship. And again, all I'm doing is explaining why I used to have certain perceptions and I used to feel angry about this kind of celebration and segregation. But I did grow up in a council estate. I got expelled from 2 schools, I got knocked about by my father. And during my mid-20s, when I lacked a complete sense of identity, when I left the Marines and I left GB Sport, it used to piss me off when people told me that I wouldn't understand, and that these groups are needed to celebrate the freedom from oppression that they had to go through because of the things that people like me did. People like me. Straight white men have not treated really anyone particularly well historically. I don't really think anyone's arguing that. When I have a mixed race girl whose parents can afford to fund all of her hobbies and pursuits during childhood, who are still happily together and tell her that she's loved and can be anything that she dreams of being if she works for it, in her enormous fucking bedroom every night, screaming at me like I'm some kind of Nazi general, it pisses me off a little bit. I feel for anyone who has ever endured or experienced prejudice of any kind at any point in their life. But I also do think in this day and age, in 2022, it is my right to assert that it wasn't me that did this stuff. And if you're upset and you feel hurt by the prejudice that you've endured, which is absolutely reasonable, holding me responsible, in fact, holding anyone who isn't literally the person who did it responsible, is, ironically, prejudice. Now again, before you take to Twitter to try to cancel me, which by the way, I should probably inform you now, I don't have Twitter and it's actually not a real place, so just calm down slightly. I will again emphasize that these were my views about 10 years ago, and they have changed. So back to fitness coaching, right? If I'm gobbing off about the fact that we all have this kind of social responsibility to break down these boundaries, then surely I should be saying that I want to have a female coach, right? And I should be empowering all of the women that I know to stay away from female coaches and opt for a male coach specifically to break down these boundaries. In theory, yes, but again, my perception has changed pretty radically, and I'm going to discuss that now. Do I believe that men and women are and should be treated and considered in every way, foundationally equal? Yes, 100%. And I would absolutely go to task with anyone who didn't believe that was the case, and that is something that I would march for every day of the week. I adore the healthy aspects of both masculinity and femininity. But do I believe that men and women, even if treated completely equally and given completely equal opportunities, are the same? No, I don't. And thank God, right? That is the beautiful thing. They are both absolutely amazing and beautiful in their own ways, and even more amazing and beautiful when experienced and seen in contrast from each other. And as a man now in my mid-30s, I believe that men can connect with other men in a way that they just truly can't with other women. And I absolutely assume that it's the same for women. And that connection, I believe now, is something that should be celebrated and nurtured and nourished, and not considered toxic. And for me, my relationship to my training and my performance is that it's an amazing, kind of pleasurable, intense outpouring of my masculinity. I want to lift heavy shit, I want to run fast, channel my anger from the day into this experience and harness this energy. And I'm not saying these things should only be done by men overseen by other men. But for me, I like to experience that stuff in a healthy but intense masculine environment. And I believe that I, like everyone in this world, has the innate right to make that call for myself. So I used to believe that we all had a responsibility in breaking down boundaries in this way, and preventing people from making decisions like I've just mentioned was a good way to do this. I now believe that we should absolutely acknowledge the 100% foundational in every way equality between men and women, but also acknowledge and actually kind of celebrate the beauty in the innate differences. So if a man wants to nourish his masculinity in a healthy way, by focusing on his performance, his health and his physique in a masculine environment, I 100% encourage him to do so. I'll also say at this point that during this kind of journey over the last 2 years, where I've kind of accepted my masculinity and cultivated my masculinity in a much more healthy way, I have only, in my opinion, but I do believe that will be substantiated by the people who know me best, I have only become more loving, more tolerant, and kind of more accepting of the feminine qualities as well. I personally just happen to love training in a masculine environment. And that's why my view really has changed over the last few years, as I believe everyone has the innate right to choose for themselves what kind of environment they want to work out in, assuming and kind of hoping that they're making this decision through a healthy lens. And that is why my view on this has changed significantly in the last couple of years. And if this video does this for one single person, I would consider making it an overwhelming success. Really hope you enjoyed as always, guys. Get yourself in the comment section if you have anything to say. If you have not yet done so, make sure you subscribe. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome. I really look forward to seeing you next time.